Welcome back to the garage. Next step in this project is to deal with the engine mounts, and as you can see I've got these removed. Got them cut out of the frame. There's a few rivets up here on the top that have to be drilled out or chopped off, however you want to do it, and then the mount has to be plasma cut it out. But as you can see, this is the factory V8 engine mount. Get that one out of the way. This is the Cummins engine mount. Goes up there. It's got a lot wider of a spot. This is where the engine mount goes for the 12 valve. But as you can see, quite a bit of difference in the two. One's definitely a lot more beefier than the other one. But I've got the holes drilled out. I've got some grade 8 hardware to go in there to hold it at the top and at the bottom. There's a pretty decent gap to fill. Dodge for some reason cut a half moon kind of shape to fill this in between, so when I cut this out I had to get rid of it, but that won't be hard to replicate. Just kind of weird why they didn't bring the mount all the way down to the frame instead of stepping it like that. But this is the passenger side. We'll move to the driver's side and I'll show you that one. Alright, now as you can see, this is the driver's side engine mount. 3 rivets at the top just like the other side, but this one sits a little bit further forward. This is the V8 motor mount. And this is the 12-volt motor mount. It sits quite a ways further forward. I'm sorry, it sits quite a ways further backwards. The rivets on this side, they don't use the front one, and on the other side they don't use the rear one. So this sits this way further back, but there's also a second part to that bolts on here, and it moves the mount way further out forward. I still have a hole to drill up in the frame on that side, but as you can see, these are totally different. A guy could probably get the V8 mounts to work if you wanted to weld on them, welded plates to move the engine mounts further out, but it just seems a lot simpler to me to get it dialed in this way. But that's what I got going on. I'm going to get the engine set in here. I'm going to get these mocked up, and then I'm going to start messing with the transmission cross member and see if I can get that either in some of the factory holes or if I'll have to drill some. But stay tuned. Now as you can see, I've got the mounts mocked up there with 1/2-inch grade 8 hardware. And grade 8 hardware is a lot more strong than a rivet. I mean, you can take a air chisel and chisel these rivets off, but if you ever try to drill out a broken off grade 8 bolt, you know how hard that stuff is. So as you can see, I've still got that gap in there. It'll have to cut out a chunk of metal and fill, kind of step down how Dodge done it. The back had the same thing, but it was, I guess it was 1/2-inch plate, but it was all factory, but kind of messed up how they done it. And this side you can see how tight that gap is. I can go ahead and weld that up, no problem. But let me get you set up in the back and we'll see if we can swing that engine over and sit it down in here. the cross member in there, and it's really good that I took the cab off because I'm going to have to drill some new holes. I've heard from a lot of guys that have done the four-wheel drive conversions that this mount for the transmission and transfer case has to go back an inch, but it looks about on a two-wheel drive it has to go back about 3 inches, 2.5, somewhere around that. I still need to measure this side to side, make sure this cross member's in there where it needs to go, but this mount was totally different than the other one. The other transmission mount for the V8 had these kind of brackets underneath of it. The mount came up, these swooped down on both sides, but on this one, I'll show you, has this bracket that goes in here, goes to the frame, drill holes in here. It's got welded nuts on the back side here, so bolts fit in here. And then on this side, it has kind of the same deal like I was talking about on the V8 mount. This one just goes up to the bottom of it. I'm guessing the other side's different for the exhaust to come down through there, but I'll get these holes measured out the way they need to go, get this cross member measured, make sure that it's good side to side, and I'll catch up with you when I'm done with that. Alright, and as you can see, I've got the holes drilled in the frame, got it mocked up with grade 5 hardware. I got to run to the hardware store and get grade 8. Got this side completely done. That side I still have to do the part that swoops under, but I'll have to take the engine and transmission out to jack the frame up high enough to where I can actually get my drill up there and get it at the right angle. But that's a beautiful spot where that engine's sitting. It kind of makes you wonder why Dodge never put the Cummins in these four-door trucks to begin with. Now, I guess they quit making the four-door truck cabs in 86 or 87. And then the first year of the Cummins was the 89, so it seems like it was a huge missed opportunity. Alright, as you can see, I've got the motor mounts welded in. Here's the driver's side. Here's the passenger side. These are the pieces that I was talking about and had to bring down for that gap. There's the one on the front side. What I also done is I took the spots where I drilled the new holes for the cross members and I welded the old ones up. And there were two for the bottom side of the V8 cross member on this side, and luckily by magic the one on the right hand side actually worked with the new cross member, so that's pretty amazing that that lined up perfectly like that. But got the area all cleaned up with a flap disc, both sides. Time to shoot it with some primer and then top coat it a little bit later on. But next video will probably be something else. I might roll this out of the way just for now. Got a couple other things to kind of get around to, but until next time. That'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment down below. Consider subscribing if this is the kind of content that you're into. I've got a lot of other neat projects coming up that you don't want to miss out on. And just a friendly reminder that it doesn't matter if you're working on your project in a massive climate-controlled garage or if you're laying on a piece of cardboard on your back in your driveway underneath it. What matters is that you go out there, you do the job yourself, and you learn more about your project, whatever your project may be. I'll catch you next time.